Hello, welcome aboard. Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench. Once again, I have another kit review for you today. And this one is of this Trumpeter 1/32 scale Messerschmitt BF-109 K4. The reason I'm doing this, there is a lot of talk and a lot of hype about the brilliant Qatari model that's on the way. It's been delayed and delayed and delayed. Purely because they are perfectionists. So they get their test shots in, they argue that they're not right or whatever, and get changes made, and that's what happens. And it was the same with Wingnut Wings. So basically, the reason I've got this review for you, I was talking to Gary the other day, Gary over at Tiger Hobbies, and he's actually just bought a boatload of these, and he's doing them for the amazing price of £28. I'll put a link in the description down below. But £28 for a 32nd scale Messerschmitt BF-109 K4. And for those that always complain about Qatari not having an engine, let's bear in mind this one has an engine. It has photo etch parts, it has decals, and it has plastic parts, obviously. So here we go. Now, I'm not saying this kit is going to be as accurate. It's not going to have the same sort of instructions or anything as the Qatari kit. There's no doubt the Qatari kit will be a nicer model, but let's face it, if you want to build a Messerschmitt BF-109 K4 and then look at it from 6 feet away, I'm not sure anyone would tell the difference. Let's wait and see. So here we are. Now, I know I said I wouldn't do any German World War II stuff on the channel because of reasons with YouTube, but when Gary told me about this offer, I thought I've just got to get one and give it a review and see what it looks like. So here we have it. This is the kit. It's a 1/32 scale. The kit number is, where is the kit number? 02299. As I say, I'll put a review, a link to the Tiger Hobbies website where you can go straight and buy this. £28, and I believe you get free postage as well. So it says on here, detail scale kit for adult collectors to assemble. Actual model may vary from image on box, so it could be a Sherman tank in here for all we know. Not for children under 3 years, which is probably not a bad idea due to small parts. Please keep this packaging because it contains important information. I don't know why they always say that. So looking around the box here on the side, we have version A, which is included in the kit. It's a BF-109 K4 from an unknown unit. We've got some history here of the model, and you can have a little pause and have a read of that should you want to. We've got the end of the box here, which is the normal box art, and then the kit number there. And then here we've got versions B and C, which come in the box. So we've got Stab 3 JG52 1945, and then we've got work number 330176 JG77. You can see on there we've got 2 little frets of photo etch. So yeah, it's a pretty complete little model, and for £28, I think the retail's $39.99, is it, or something? But for £28, what a bargain. So in here we have a sheet. We can see when it's from. 2324 is in here. I believe it said on the box 2020, but you can see here we've got a Me 4AV Hound, we've got an A6A Intruder, an 8.8 centimeter Flak 41, which is a different version. And on the back here we've got a Schwerer Zugkraft Wagon 18 ton with 8.8 centimeter Flaken. So there we can see a big German half track there. Typical Trumpeter grey sprues, individually bagged, which is very, very nice. There's our engine in there. We've got engine cowlings and everything. Prop blades, very nicely done. Looks like they haven't got any sink marks in them. We'll have a look at those in a minute. Another, there's cockpit detail and everything in there. There's more engine parts. Photo etch. Here we go. Decals with the, clearly with the symbol I need to cover up, split into half. We've got instrument panel decals there. We've got stencils and everything. So lots and lots going on in there. We've got here in the little cardboard compartment on the side, we've got our clear parts. We've got a clear instrument panel, which I don't know why they do that. And then we have, come here, we have vinyl tyres for the main gear and the tail wheel. So that's all very nice. and then we've got the instructions. So let's have a look at these instructions first of all, as we always do in my reviews. So typical Trumpeter manual, which is a little boring, you know, they're all exactly the same. Whether you buy a car, ship, plane, whatever, you always get this same manual. And if you get Hobby Boss or Merit or all the other, I Love Kit, all those, it's always the same sort of manual. This manual is very, very thin. It only has 12 pages, so it's going to be quite complicated, I expect. We'll have a quick look at the colour callouts. So this is the version A from an unknown unit. This is the box front artwork. So you can see on here, we've got the yellow 13 on the side. We've got the green and the sky blue and the grey, the two greens on the top there. We've got all the colour callouts here for the different colours, but always double check these. Trumpeter often get them wrong. And then here we've got, it's nice to see that they're giving us actual stab numbers and everything, because they often don't do this, especially with their military vehicles. They just give you a choice of different schemes. They don't even tell you what country they're from. And then here we've got version C. So we've got the RLM 76 underneath. We got the RLM 81, the violet brown, which is the brown violet, sorry, which was used later in the war. And you can see, I believe this one is the same with the brown. This has got the two greens on it. So that's going to be, version B is going to be the same as version A with the green and the grey. And then version C is the later. I think that's the one I would do. That's the most attractive one. And then you've got this very hard to do mottling and everything on the bottom. So there's our colour callouts. So let's have a look at the instructions. Right, so banging in here, we've got the all the sprue callouts. We've got 2 decal sheets, unused parts there. We've got some PE parts which are unused as well. 2 lots of photo etch, vinyl tyres, and a bunch of sprues there. So as I said, it's a very small manual, so it means it's very, very complex. And here we've got Dragon-esque type instructions with very, very busy sections. So section 1 has got lots and lots of parts. You've got the cannon going in here into the front of the cockpit. And then we've got the cockpit floor, RLM 66, so it's the darker grey because it's a late war aircraft. So you have the darker grey XF63. And then we've got the instrument panel going together there. Not quite sure, they're not calling out the decal. They are here, so you're going to put the decal over the front of the instrument panel, even though they've moulded it in clear. This is what I never understand with Trumpeter. They mould an instrument panel in clear and then tell you to put the decal on the front. Don't get it. But anyway, it's just something they do. The pedals here are in PE, so that's very, very nice. You're going to fold them up and they're going to look lovely. It looks like there isn't a plastic option. It would have been nice to have a plastic option for those that don't like PE. But we have the trim wheel going in there, and then we have the seat base. So we've got options for seat bases. I'm not quite sure what's going to be different. Without, you've got a PE one, there we go. A PE seat. This is very, very compact and busy. So we've got the PE seat base you can do up and solder and everything, or super glue, and then we've got a plastic seat base. So the plastic seat base is probably good enough. I've also noticed we have PE, I noticed when I looked just now, we had PE seat belts on there, but there's no call out for the seat belts here. Maybe it comes later. So here we are going on to the engine, building up the engine. Of course, the engine, because of plastic thickness and everything, the engine is going to be undersized. But for those that want an engine, you know, this is your kit to go for in 30-second scale. So you've got your engine, you've got your front cover going on there. We've got the oil tanks and that going on the side, and then bits and pieces and pipes and everything going on. And then we're going to continue with our engine here. We're going to add the engine onto the bearers. RLM-02 for those, because only the cockpits were done dark grey. The cockpits used to be RLM-02, but later in the war they changed them to the dark grey. And then here we've got the seat belts or the lap belts going in. So they're showing that there as sitting up on the back of the seat. I'm not sure that's actually strictly correct. I think that should be draped down over the belts. And then we've got the supports there for the engine bearers, and we've got machine guns going in here. So that's very nice. Be interesting to see if they're slide molded. Vinyl tyres going onto the wheels, and then we've got undercarriage legs. Nice to see we've got a brake pipe or some sort of hydraulic pipe in there, and then we've got PE straps to strap it all together. So extremely well detailed here for a 32nd scale Trumpeter kit. And then here we've got the fuselage halves going together. So they're telling us to paint the back end of the cockpit in RLM02, and the actual cockpit interior is going to be RLM66. That there is a fuel line, so you would have a clear filter in the middle of there. And then here, so I think that would be painted, is that really bright blue colour, I think, or yellow, I can't remember now. But I'm sure that, yeah, it's telling you blue here. I'm sure you all know that those of you that love your BF-109s will know the colours to use. Throttle quadrant going in there, and then we've got a support bar or something going in here. Building up the propeller. I believe the propeller was wooden. I'm sure you will tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. But the actual hub itself is going to be silver, and then you're going to put the spinner over the top. So RLM70 black green. All of these colours are available from Tamiya or Outlaw Paints or whatever. And then here we've got Mr. Hobby. There's all sorts of different paints you can get. So here we've got the tail planes being built up and the rudder. So we've got separate control surfaces, so you can pose them if you want to, a little bit of cutting around and scratch building. I don't remember seeing the fuselage halves coming together. Have I skipped a page? Yes, I have. So, sorry about that. So the spinner's going together there. So here we're straight into the wing. So we're adding the, what's all this? What's all this then? This is machine gun ammo. And then here we've got the actual undercarriage bays are moulded into the lower wing by the look of it. It's telling us to drill some holes here in the upper wing to fit this panel over the top. I'm guessing that's some sort of armour plating to cover the tyres. I'm not sure. Or maybe it's a raised area because they use fatter tyres and they had to bulge the wing slightly. They're telling you to make a hole here. There's make holes options. There's all sorts. It's very, very busy. We got separate flaps. We got separate rear radiator covers there. Separate ailerons. It's all very, very busy. Very busy indeed. And here we've got the tail wheel going together with its vinyl tyre and the tail leg itself. And then we're going to put all that into the fuselage, add this rear shelf, add the cockpit and engine assembly, and then add these on. There's no symbol to say don't glue it or anything. I'm not sure that this is correct. I'm not sure that the top would come off separately. I'm not sure if the sides came off separately or whatever, but I'm sure you will tell me in the comments below because there will be a lot of experts out there. We've got to make a hole here for an antenna. And we've got the air intake there for the supercharger. So here we are over the page, adding the photo etch harnesses into the rear area there, building up the horizontal stabilizer, building up the rudder, adding all those separate panels, very, very nice, and putting the spinner onto the front. And then here we're building up we've got PE going inside the canopy. So here's PE 30, so that's going into the rear of the canopy. We've got a plastic part going in, and then we've got little PE supports, and there's no indication whatsoever of where this goes. It just says down in there, so that's a little bit awkward. PE 30 and PE 32. They've just got. I can't work that out. Maybe when you actually build it, it will become more obvious, or if you know the aircraft or do some research, I'm sure you'll work it out. But yeah, PE 12 is quite obvious on the front of the frame, but none of this is very obvious at all. We've also got little bits of detail going inside the actual windscreen there as well. So very, very complex, not very clear. So 1 out of 10 for clarity on those instructions, Trumpeter. We're going to bring the wing section up into the fuselage. And then we've got the drop tank going in here. We've got a PE strap going around that. So it's all going to look very, very nice with all this PE on it. And then we've got the lower engine cover going on with the oil cooler in it. Well, that might be the radiator, I'm not sure. And these might be the oil coolers. I'm sure these are radiators and that's an oil cooler. Undercarriage doors, undercarriage going in. this central piece here, whatever that is. And then we've got the counterbalance weights going onto the aileron here. And it's telling you to put that one on as well. Little antenna going on there. And then coming over the page, we've got machine gun pods. So you're going to put the machine guns in there, flip them over, glue them into the bottom of the wings, just as they're showing there. And then we've got the drop tank going in. So I think these are an option, but the drop tank isn't. And there we are, that's it. Very, very busy instructions, especially for Trumpeter. So very interesting. We'll have a look at these little bits and pieces that are in this cardboard first. So we've got tyres. So let's have a look at these tyres and see what they're like. I'm going to put the light on now that we've finished looking at the instructions. So we have vinyl tyres which have a little bit of mould release on them by the look of it. But they've got the typical, you can see on there, they've got the moulded on lines coming out. They've got a bit of a mould seam in the middle, but you can sand that away anyway to add a bit of wear if you're going to weather it. There's no lettering or anything on them. And then on the tail wheel, again, we've got a little bit of tread on there. But, you know, just go around that and rub that out, get rid of the mould seam. And then here we have our clear parts. Remember guys, this kit is 28 quid. It's absolutely a complete and utter bargain. So here we have our clear parts, and typical of modern Trumpeter, they are extremely nice. Having said that, there is a bit of a, I'm not sure if it's supposed to be there, but we can see on the bottom left corner there of the windscreen, there's a little circular mark there. I'm assuming because it's circular, it's supposed to be there. I don't think that's just distortion. But the actual main part of the canopy itself is beautiful, as you can see. It's lovely. Very, very nice indeed. You know, clear parts for canopies can make or break a model. If they're awful, they're awful. I'm going to put that to one side and pack it away in a minute. Here we've got, this is obviously an individual sprue for the K4 variant. They've obviously got many, many variants up their sleeve, or they're already doing it, whatever. So this is the Q sprue. So this has got undercarriage doors, and you can see that that sort of T section in there is so thin that you can almost see through it. We've got this here. This is the, notice this is the tail wheel door, and then we've got these little bits and pieces. I'm not sure if they're mirrors or something or what, but they're very nice indeed. So that can go back in there, and then here we have a second clear sprue, and in this one we have our instrument panel. Why is it clear? I do not know. And then we've got armour plating for the windscreens here. I'm not sure, a lot of this stuff is probably not used. And then we've got the lenses there for the gun sight. There's a little light there. These are the wingtip lights, I'm guessing. But as you can see, it's all very nice and all very clear. So here we are. So that's that. Now let's have a look at the, we've got the decals here, so let's have a look at our decals if you're in America. I call them decals, you call them decals. So we've got two sheets. We can get these out. There we go. So here we have, these are the main decals with our main insignia and everything, and numbers and all that. So you can see here we've got, they're very nice actually, they look quite thin, they've got a semi-gloss effect to them. We've got the yellow 13 and yellow 8, and they've got the symbols here for the sides of the fuselage, and then we've got the white German signs, or the black and white German signs is what I call them. And then here we have our second decal sheet with my thumb over those. And you can see, get the right way up, you can see we have lots and lots of stencils, which are very, very nice indeed. I'm not sure about accuracy. Got the dotted lines there for the wing walks. You can obviously get masks for those from One Man Army and spray them if you want to. Acton Kraftstoff Behalter, whatever that means. Instrument panel there, and we got lots and lots of greeblies and stencils here. So they're saying here it's a 109K4. I can imagine this is probably quite a generic sheet. But Kind Bomb. There's a work number there. And then we've got some footway markings here for where the pilot has to step, and there's some danger markings there. So very nice indeed on the decal sheet front. You can see there that symbol has been broken up. We've got two different styles, and it's been broken up into two different halves. So I'm not going to play on that because YouTube are very funny about it, as we all know. And then in here we have a bag with a couple of photo etch frets in it. I thought my knife went through that. It did. No, it didn't all the way. There we go. Right, so get this bag open. We'll get our photo etch out. So we've got two sheets of photo etch. So here we've got the that's the seat base. We've got our rudder pedals there with our straps over the top. We've got harness there for the lap belts, by the lap belt, and then there's the shoulder harnesses there. Straps there to go around the drop tank, I'm assuming. And then we've got grills for our radiators. We've got little triangular pieces there, I guess, in there for the belts. And then, not sure what that is, that's another strap there. And then here we've got the detail going inside the canopy, which, as I say, is not very clear. There's the detail around the front of the main canopy, which is nice. And then this is the detail that's going inside the canopy. As I say, it's not clear from the instructions, but once you do your research and look at other models and stuff, you'll clearly work out what it's supposed to look like. So, onto the plastic. Let's have a look here. So we have, this is sprue, God blimey, they couldn't have made that even more faint, could they? Sprue F. Got a slight hint there that sprue F. So yeah, very nice. We have our cockpit floor, bulkhead, back of the instrument panel. There's the back of the cockpit. There's the top of the engine there. We've got rocker covers there for the engine, or cam covers, whatever you want to call them. And then we've got exhausts here, which are slide molded, which are very nicely done. You can see they're slide molded. All sorts of pipes and bits and pieces and greeblies for the engine. Very, very nice. I think that's the cover for the cannon, isn't it? I think. And then we've got control surfaces here for the wings. We have ejector pin marks on the inside, which obviously need to be filled and sanded if you're going to have them in the lowered position. There's the trim wheel for the cockpit. We've got some little pull handles there by the look of it. But lots of detail. Very, very nice. Trumpeter just keep improving. Just keep coming on laps. Sorry about the barking, guys. Sorry about that. I think Dottie's decided to stop barking now. So here we have another sprue. I can't see what this one is because it's got this wonderful Trumpeter packaging. As usual, they got the foam wrapped around to protect the fragile parts, which is absolutely brilliant. This is sprue J, and you can see they've wrapped the foam around to protect the tail wheel. That's not the main undercarriage, is it? Because there's only one of them. I'm assuming that is the tail wheel leg. We've got the cannon there. We've got the engine bearers and the supports for the engine bearers. There's our supercharger there. And then there's the... sorry, once again. There's obviously somebody outside daring to walk past the house. How dare they? Propeller blades here. Big air intake for the supercharger. There's those panels that are going on the wings. I'm not sure what they're for, if they're armour plating or if they're to allow wider tyres or something, I don't know. And then we've got our engine cowlings here. Like I say, I'm not sure of the accuracy of this. They've got them in two halves, but I would have thought this would be a brake line here where the top would lift off and the sides would come off. But they've made it in two halves. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if that's correct. Just not sure at all. There is a rivet line down the middle there when we look at the top of that, so it could be, yeah, there's a rivet line there, and they are actually slide molded as well, and there's a seam line there. So it could be that it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 piece affair, and they've just made it out of 2. I don't know. I'm sure there are experts out there that will know exactly what's going on. But you can see the rivet detail and everything. It's going to look great with a wash, bit of weathering, bit of chipping, bit of dry brushing. It's going to look lovely, and it's nice to see on these propeller blades they don't appear to have any sink marks in them, so that's really nice. There's a very slight sink mark there, but that'll sand out easily. So yeah, there's the other half of the tail wheel leg there. So you've got the main part of the tail wheel, and there's the other part of it there. But ejector pin marks on the inside of the engine cover, so if you want to display it with them off and lead on the ground, then you know you'll need to deal with those. But no, other than that, it's all very nice, isn't it? So we'll put the foam back on to protect it. There we go. I've actually got the 2 Revell 109s in 1/32 scale. I can't remember, is it G6 and G4 or something? I can't remember now. This seems to be a little bit nicer than those, especially as you've got the seat belts and 3 options, and of course the plastic's nicer to work with as well. Okay, so here we've got 2 sprues in one bag. Naughty Trumpeter with all their clever packaging as they normally do. Come on. Right. So we got in here, this is sprue N. N for Nige, or N for Numpty, whatever you want to, or Nige the Numpty. So what's underneath there? Let's have a look. Greeblies is what's underneath there. So there's our main engine halves, looking very nice. We got the mount there for the supercharger. There's the front cover. We've got these oil tanks on the side. There's the sump, but because the engine's inverted, is actually the top of the engine. And then we've got some little greeblies here. You can see on there the actual engine detail is very nice. Sorry guys, I had to stop there. The bloody useless Sony ZV-1 camera I've got, which is a piece of shit. The battery went. So what, 35 minutes in the battery, that's all the battery lasted. What a piece of junk. So here we are, engine sides there. I can't remember how much detail I showed you on this now. I'll edit it out if I've already shown you it. And then here we have the second sprue. So there's one of the cockpit sides there. There's that panel that's going underneath. There's an instrument panel there. And then we've got our machine guns, we've got our barrels, and yes, they're slide molded, so we've got the end detail on there. So very nice. There's some detail to go inside the cockpit here. There's that fuel line that goes through. This is the one that always makes me laugh with Revell. They molded this in clear because this area, I believe it's here, this area here is clear. So it's a sight so that the pilot can see if there's fuel flowing. And all of this is painted, I believe, blue, and this bit here is clear. The rest of this is painted blue. Where did Revell put their sprue gate? There. Right on the only bit that needs to stay clear. I mean, unbelievable. Who else would do it? It's unbelievable. So yeah, that's something I always pick up on. Whoever designed that, it's just ridiculous. So there we go. I don't think I'm Revell's best friend, to be honest. So here we are. Right. Here's one of our main sprues. So this is sprue F, E. They're so bloody faint. E is, I think it's E, but the E is right on the bottom edge. So we've got tail planes here. We've got recessed rivet detail on there, as you can see. We've got leading edge slats, or just leading edges. I'm not sure if this had slats or not. I probably did because it's late war. We've got the plenum chamber go around the engine here. We've got the spinner. We've got backplate for the spinner, and then there's the ammo barrels for the wings, or ammo drums, should I say. Radiators. There's the actual the actual hub for the propeller blades. We've got a drop tank here, which has got some lovely moulded on detail. It's in 2 halves, so you'll have a seam to deal with. And then there's the cannons for the wings, and then we've got the cannons there, again slide moulded, so you've got hollow barrels. And we've got these pipes here. I think these are the brake lines for the undercarriage legs. There's our main undercarriage legs there, so they're quite substantial. More cockpit detail here. But yeah, all in all, very, very nice. You can see the lovely recess riveting on there, so that's going to pick up a wash lovely. We've got undercarriage doors there. We've got ejector pin marks in the undercarriage doors, but I think they're going to be hidden by the legs, which is good. So that's very nice. So yeah, all in all, it's looking lovely. There are no ejector pin marks on those cannons, which is a nice touch. I don't remember seeing ammo belts from the ammo drums to the cannons. And it still goes on and on and on. It said on the box 250 plus parts. So yeah, for 28 quid, guys, you know, even if you just want to get a mule to practice on, it's the way to go, isn't it? Here we are, big old fuselage halves, 32nd scale. We've got lots of recessed detail on there. There's recessed panel lines there. There's no raised rivet detail anywhere, but you can see that it's all done very tastefully and not really over the top. Got some pretty fine panel lines, and this is slide molded as well. So the seam is there underneath that row of rivets. So the seam is not on a panel line, but they just need a very, very gentle sand. This is a half-worn 400 stick. So as you can see there, I'm sanding over that, and there's a line of rivets above and below where the mould partition is. And that is basically pretty much gone. You can see it here. The rivet detail only goes up to that line there. I think Dottie's about to bark again because there's some people outside. How dare they walk on the pavement outside the house? How dare they? You can see there's a bit of a line there where the mould seam is. But no, all in all, really easy. What I would be tempted to do here is where this rivet line here is, I just go in with a pin and just deepen them slightly so that when you sand it you don't lose them. But very nice indeed. You see the same on this side. You've got a rivet line here, and then just above it you've got a mould seam. So yeah, very nicely done. You can see because they've done the slide moulding, you've got the rivet line down the centre, because we all know that the 109 actually has a line down there. It's the same on here, I think. Or is it only on the bottom? I can't remember now, but there isn't actually a seam line down there, so don't go filling it in and getting rid of it. There's our rudder in 2 halves. And there's our elevators singly moulded with no sinkage by the look of it, which is cool. There's our underbelly for the engine, I think it is. Radiator, oil cooler, whatever it is. So yeah, very nicely done. Nice to see they've spent a fortune on their tooling and given us nicely slide moulded fuselage halves, so we don't have to worry about losing detail all underneath and everything. And then finally this sprue here, this is the last one. So here we go. Very, very nice. Again, lovely sharp detail. We've got fuel filler ports there. It's really, really, is that fuel filler ports or fuel drains? I can't remember now. These are the fuel fillers, aren't they? What are they? They're just inspections, I guess. But we can see we've got very, very crisp detail, crisp rivets, crisp panel lines, no hint of flash or anything. We've got the lovely raised rim there around the wingtip lights. We've got ailerons, elevators and everything there. They're in halves. And then we've got our upper wing surface here. Again, sharp, crisp lovely rivet detail, lovely panel lines. And then we've got we're lacking on the detail around in the wheelbase. There's no detail in there. There's no detail in there. This should be like canvas in here all sewn up, I think. But we've got the upper detail there. No doubt if you want, there'll be an Edward set to brighten all this up. I'm surprised they didn't give us something to go around there. Surely in the Qatari kit, all this area will be absolutely spot on, and wherever there needs to be raised rivets, there'll be raised rivets. But the Qatari kit is going to be, I don't know, £100, and this is 28. So, you know, you pays your money, you takes your choice. If you're building it wheels up in flight, you're not going to worry about that at all. But yeah, we do have leading edge slats by the look of it. But we can see the detail on those hatches there. It's very, very nice indeed. So yeah, so basically my main purpose of doing this was after a conversation with Gary, and he said he bought a load of these in, and it was 28 quid. I thought, send me one, mate. I'm going to do a review so that you guys can all go and get yourself a bargain, because, you know, I mean, can you get a World War II fighter for 28 quid in 48 scale? I'm sure you can, but you ain't going to get one in 32nd scale, especially a K4. So there we go, bargain kit. I mean, even at $39.99 it's not bad when you consider the price of a lot of other kits out there in 32nd scale. When you look at Zucchimure, I know the details better, but at the end of the day, when you build it up, it's a 32nd scale fighter, isn't it? I mean, you know, I'm not sure about accuracy or anything. If this is totally inaccurate, too short, too long, wings are in the wrong place or whatever, then fair enough, I will stand corrected. But it looks like a 109 to me. So as I say, there will be a link in the description below the video where you can go to Tiger Hobbies and find this kit. And yeah, for £28, and I think it's got free postage as well. I think, don't quote me on it. I mean, what more could you want? Thank you for watching, guys. I will see you all soon. Bye for now.